you can take it to the polls. And now for tonight's forum. I am Anitra Steele, the chair of the Forums Committee. Good evening and welcome to our forum for House Districts 19, 28, and 33 for the August 6th primary election. This forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Kansas City, Jackson, Clay, and Platte counties. The League of Women Voters is a trusted grassroots, nonpartisan organization doing the hands-on work to safeguard our democracy. While we neither endorse nor oppose candidates or political parties, we are directly involved with the sharing of important issues. Our mission is to empower voters and to defend our democracy. We envision a democracy where every citizen has the knowledge, the right, the desire, and the confidence to participate. Our membership is open to everyone. I'd like you to know the other League members volunteering with me. Elizabeth Darr is the timekeeper, and our Zoom is monitored by Laura Marcus Mountjoy. The public has sent in the questions via the League's website, lwvkc.org. Tonight, we welcome our moderator, League member, Sandy Eads.
Thank you, Anitra. I'm delighted to join you for the House Districts 19, 28, and 33 candidate forum. Tonight, we'll hear from the candidates running for the opportunity to represent their party on the general election ballot in November. Missouri state representatives work alongside the governor to create laws and establish a state budget. Responsibilities include passing bills on public policy matters, setting levels for state spending, raising and lowering taxes, and voting to uphold or override gubernatorial vetoes. State representatives are limited to 4 two-year terms. Now, these forums last about 90 minutes. I'll ask each candidate the same questions selected from those submitted by the public. The order of the candidate responses has been determined by random rotation. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to respond to each question and 90 seconds for closing statements. All of the candidates running for these districts have been invited, and all but 2 are here tonight. So we welcome the candidates participating in tonight's forum. We have Karen Spalding from District 19, Patricia Hernandez from District 19, Rick Thomas, also District 19, Steve Hinton, District 28, Chris Sander, District 33, and Carolyn Caton, District 33. This forum will be recorded and available on the League's webpage. That's lwvkc.org and on YouTube. So candidates, please answer the question asked and stick to the topic. There will be no rebuttals, but you may go back to an issue during your 90-second closing remarks. And as I mentioned to some earlier, if you need me to repeat the question, I'll be happy to do so. It will not come out of your time. So with that, we'll start with the questions. And as soon as I find all of them, get going. Okay, this first question, we'll start with Karen. Please introduce yourself, tell us your education and background, and why are you running for the state legislature?
Yes, my name is Karen Spalding, and I'm running for the state legislature because in my district for years and years, I went to the polls and there was only one candidate, and it wasn't a person that I agreed with their agenda, and I had no choice but to vote for them. And so I thought, why don't I give people a choice? You know, if I'm complaining about not having a choice, let's just jump into the fray. So the first thing that happened to me was I saw that the Republicans committee, there was never anybody's name there. And so I just wrote my name in and I won by 1 vote. And I thought, well, hey, now I'm in politics. So from that point on, then I decided that I would run for state representative because, like I said, there was only one candidate always there. And I was encouraged by members of the Republican Committee, Jackson County Republican Committee,
We're done.
to do so. And so anyway,
Your minute's up.
okay, thank you.
Patricia, you're next.
Hi, my name is Patricia Hernandez, and I'm running for Missouri House District 19. Thank you so very much to the League of Women and everybody here, the moderators, and everyone involved. So I've lived in this district for the majority of my life. My dad has lived in this district for his entire life. I really got into politics once my one of my cousins was shot and killed. I wanted to be a voice for him. After that, I wanted to know how to get involved. I actually reached out to our incumbent. I was younger at the time, wanted to know what I could do for my community. She told me to get involved with my neighborhood association. So I did that, became the president, and then actually went on to join the Jackson County Democrats. And I've been representing that area, the Ward 12, for the past since 2018. And my background is homelessness. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Wick, you're next.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So my name is Wick Thomas. I am a faculty librarian at MCC Penn Valley. I have a master's degree in library and information science. I've served as the manager of teen programs for the Nelson Atkins, as well as the teen librarian for the Kansas City Public Library. I'll be pursuing my PhD in information management soon. I have a long history of working in education and youth advocacy. I care deeply about these issues. I love this district. It's the first place that I felt like was home. I was homeless as a teenager, and I've found such a lovely community here. Didn't know when I moved up here, but my grandmother actually was a 1933 Viking, Northeast Viking. So feel very connected to this community. I care deeply about it. I'm endorsed by Planned Parenthood, Moms Demand Action, Gun Sense Candidate Distinction, Mental Health One. And let's see, got 6 seconds. I'm a member of the Northeast Kansas City Historical Society, and I've dedicated my life to public service. I volunteer for most social service agencies in the district.
Thank you. Stephen, you're next.
Okay, well, I've lived here for about 20 years. I came from the School of Hard Knocks, counted to draft in the military from the Vietnam War. Did go to technical school to learn stuff, but you know, the thing that concerns me in this area or in the state of Missouri or in this country is where the political group has been taking us. We're right on the edge of World War III, and it really scares the heck out of me after being in the military for a number of years to see how these people have got us into 2 wars right now, and a third one's on the edge with China in them. So, you know, even though that's global, but it still affects here and everything else. Ever since the last 3.5 years, price of everything has gone sky high. So they're just wrecking the whole deal. And I'm tired of it. So, and the kids in schools, I want to change that too. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Chris, your introduction.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Chris Sander. I live in Lone Jack, and got into politics probably during college at Mizzou. I was student fee chairman, so all the student fees. I was on the student senate 2003 to 5. I went to Trump's inauguration. I met people from St. Charles County, from Missouri, that were Women for Trump, Overpasses for America. And they told me about the Central Committee, so I joined the Central Committee in 2017 or 18. Did that in St. Charles County, moved to Lone Jack. I'm on the Central Committee in Jackson County, Van Buren Township for 4 years or more. And I was elected to state rep during COVID 2021. I'm on the Budget Committee. This is a 3rd term re-election, and I plan to continue serving on the Budget Committee. We'll have a Speaker of the House from Jackson County. Thank you for the invite.
Thanks very much. Carol.
Well, thank you very much for hosting this event. My name is Carolyn Caton, and I am the secretary for the Jackson County Republican Party currently. My term is just about to end. I have never been in politics before. I did not really plan to be in politics. I just decided to run because I don't feel that District 33 is being represented properly in Jefferson City, and I would like to correct that. I have a master's degree in public service administration from the University of Evansville. I've been in transportation for about 25 years in executive leadership in sales and operations. So I have a very diverse background. I am elder in my church and on the church board, and I have a servitude heart. Nothing makes me happier than serving people and the community.
Thank you very much. We're going to start with you, Patricia. Let me get to the second question here. Missouri is one of 26 states which allow citizens to amend the Constitution by an initiative petition. Currently, an initiative petition will pass with a simple majority vote after a sufficient number of supporting signatures have been gathered. Efforts in the legislature to raise the threshold fell short this year. Would you support making it more difficult to change the Constitution through our existing petition process? Why or why not? And Patricia, that's for you.
Yes, can you hear me? I want to applaud our Senate legislature, our Democrats, the few of them that were there. They did a filibuster for 45 hours to fight against that, and they upheld what the citizens of Missouri want. I would not support amending anything that takes away the voices, the individual voices of Missourians, because, you know, we all want certain things in life, and why not, as a majority, speak up for that? So, yes, yeah.
Very good. Carolyn.
I would disagree with that. I think that it should be more difficult to change the Missouri Constitution. Currently, it is too easy for outside organizations to have the influence over our Missouri issues right now, and it just really is. It needs to be changed. It needs to be more difficult. And I would support that. I was very disappointed that the filibuster did happen, and it did not. We weren't able to get that through.
Thank you. Stephen.
Well, I'll go along with Carolyn. I think that the way things are with that seem to have been working for a couple of days. So obviously they might need to be working for a little bit longer. And, you know, it's kind of like some other people say, sometimes the voters need to be possibly involved. Unfortunately, when sometimes the votes come out, they're not educated enough about, oh, if you vote on this, you think it's yes, but it's no, and all those. So, you know, those lawyers, they change the wording around so bad, but I'm going to go along with what Carolyn said too, that I feel that way.
Thank you. Chris, you're up.
Thanks for the question. I would say we worked on it in the legislature, but yeah, nothing changed. I wouldn't think it's not good to make it more difficult to put issues on the ballot for Missourians to decide. So it shouldn't be more difficult. It should be the same as it is now to get issues on the ballot. Any change would be making it a higher threshold to get something in the Constitution, either representing more House districts. So it would need to be, passed in House districts or congressional districts. When they collect signatures, sometimes they don't even go to every congressional district. They skip 2 or 3. And that should change. It should be the whole state that has a voice in the Constitution. In any change that happens, there may need to be a delay, so it doesn't affect people who are collecting signatures right now.
Thank you. Karen?
I agree with everyone so far, actually, because the major cities, Kansas City, St. Louis, and some other larger cities, you can just go there and get the petitions. And so depending on what the law is, because, we're just doing something random here, something general, But that they're the majority and it's not for the whole state. So like Chris said, I think that there needs to be a certain percentage from every county collected on these petitions so that the whole state is represented, and then they can go ahead and follow the rules that we have in the right now of how to put it on the ballot.
Thanks. Wick, you're last on this question.
Yeah, should not be more difficult. What we're talking about is denying the will of the people, which is not what government should be doing. It's not even a conversation we should be having. Like half of the good things that have happened in the Missouri legislature have been because of initiative petitions, increase in the minimum wage, expanding Medicaid, abortion access. If I collected 130 plus signatures for that petition. So the idea that smaller counties, I'm from rural Missouri also, and the idea that smaller counties should be weighted higher than higher populations is just working against the will of the people, again, which is not the government's job. Our legislation has not represented the will of the people for a very long time, and it's time for that to change. We need to, the idea that we should make it harder for the people to vote for what they want shows that this our government is not operating in good faith, and no, it should not be more difficult.
Thanks, Wick. We're going to stay with you as the rotation turns out. Governor Parson recently visited Kansas City and met with area mayors and county officials to discuss options for keeping the Chiefs and the Royals in Missouri. Would you agree with using state funds to keep the teams in Missouri? Why or why not?
Yeah, I think I mean, I think there's precedent that typically these things have received state funding for such things. I was very interested in supporting the will of the voters. We didn't make a public stance as far as our campaign was concerned, because when we get elected, we wanted to represent and advocate for our district. Our district was very opposed to the stadium because the community benefits agreement was not robust enough, wasn't even accessible to the public. There were so many issues with just with the process and with the threats that happened with it. That said, I love sports. I hope that KC Current Stadium can be a model for how we can move forward because they have done it the right way, in my opinion. And I think that the Chiefs and the Royals could learn something from how open and just ethical that process was. That said, I don't want to see the Chiefs and the Royals move. And so I am willing to have any of those discussions we need to have.
Thanks very much. Chris, what's your thoughts?
The Chiefs, the Royals, the Cardinals, the Blues, and let's go with the Rams also. They're all businesses, and the state gives all of them $3 million a year. Even the Rams, after they left, got $3 million a year to pay off a stadium that was built by St. Louis City, St. Louis County. And there was no games being played there. It was empty, but there was still debt to pay it off. The state finished paying off that stadium just this last year in the budget. City of St. Louis sued them because they left and went to California. If the Chiefs or the Royals are, we have loyal fans here. I think that the ticket prices and the sales of the games, that should pay for the business. It shouldn't be supplemented by taxpayers. They already get $3 million a year, each one of those teams. So if we give one team something, it needs to go to everybody, and I'm against that.
Thank you. Karen, your thoughts?
I'm against them moving also. What I would like to do, since I live just by the stadiums, just less than a mile, I wish that they would build up this area. We have a hotel standing there totally empty, been there for several years, and it's a prime place for that kind of a thing, but we need more businesses. So I would like to see the state help small businesses start in this area and bring a little bit more of that kind of production and help the Chiefs and the Royals in the process.
Thank you. Patricia.
So I am also for keeping them in Missouri, not just for economic development and keeping them in the city for their winning titles and everything. I grew up going to Kauffman Stadium with my grandma. I remember going and watching George Brett. I remember watching Bo Jackson play, and the thought of getting rid of Kauffman Stadium just kind of breaks my heart. So I'm for keeping them in in the stadiums that they're currently in. I'm also agreeing with Chris on we need to find a better way to keep them afloat and not relying on our taxpayers. Our taxpayers are burdened with their income, with their property taxes already, and we need to focus more on our schools. So I think if we come up with a really good economic development plan that includes everybody within the community, have robust, legitimate listening sessions for everybody and hear what the community wants, then I think we are good to go.
Great. Stephen, you've got the last word on this.
Well, it's kind of sad. Wish I had the money that Hunt had. You wouldn't have to pay to get in. You could get in for free. I mean, those boys have got a couple of change, and like you say, like Chris says, they're getting money. But what's destroyed this whole thing is this property tax deal. I mean, you got people now, and then the schools, as Patricia said. We need to focus on the schools, and I think the stadiums where they're at are really fine. They've been there, they got good access and everything like that. And, of course, they need some remodeling, and as everything does, but the parking is very expensive. The tickets are not cheap. I mean, for a family of four to go out there, you might have to go to the bank and get a loan. And then for the taxpayers to have to pay for it after this property tax deal. Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, it's an insult to us taxpayers to have to do that, and we need to focus on other things.
Thank you. So let's switch questions here. Carolyn,
Oh,
you're going to
Sandy,
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
forgot me.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, Carolyn.
No,
Go ahead.
no worries. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with the majority of people on this that taxpayers are burdened enough. We pay way too much in taxes for everything, and I don't believe that taxpayers should be burdened with keeping the Chiefs and the Royals in Kansas City. As with everyone here, we love the Chiefs, we love the Royals, and we want to see them stay here, but not through taxpayer burdens of that nature. There's got to be other ways, and some of these candidates have made some great points about local development around the stadiums to help improve that. Karen, great suggestion on that one. So I think there's other ways to get that done.
Thank you. And Carolyn, I'm sorry I missed you there, but
Oh, you broke my heart.
but you get to be first on this next question.
Hey.
So from sports to something much more serious. Deaths from drug overdoses exceed those from guns in fiscal year 2022. Drug deaths especially affect our large cities. What measures would you propose or support to decrease deaths from drug overdoses?
Well, I think our drug overdoses have increased a lot because of the easy access across the borders, and it's just infiltrating every single area. So I think there needs to be harsher penalties on people who are purchasing drugs and the people that are selling drugs as well. And we need to close down the access. We right here in Kansas City, you've got I-70 and I-35 giving it a very easy access for drug trafficking to happen. So we need to clamp that down. We need to pay our police officers more, give our state patrol more money and more allocations. We need to give them more people to be able to stop more people when we feel that these people are coming across that are carrying the drugs. And it's just it's heartbreaking the amount of deaths that we are having and the access and the new drugs that are coming in, something called Trank that I just read about not too long ago. And we have got to get control of that. Absolutely.
Thank you. Stephen?
Well, what started all this was 3.5 years ago when this guy up in the White House opened up the border, and the Chinese are sending all the stuff over to Mexico, and it's coming across the border with the cartels. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, that's just what's happening. And until you shut that flow off, you're not going to cut down the other. And then, of course, the other thing is the prosecuting attorney here we have in Jackson County doesn't seem to want to prosecute too much. So, when I hear the police what do they call it? Yellow paging or something, where
Mhm.
they take all this stuff there and then we'll just talk about who she is now, and she just don't want to prosecute these people, and they're getting away free. So, you know, why not? It's an open door policy. Go ahead and do whatever. And I mean, you know, it's a sad mess, but you know, you're gonna have to replace some people. I mean, corporations do the same thing. They don't let the bad guys keep running it. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Patricia.
So I work in the heart of the city, and I don't agree with anybody. I agree with that we need more access to facilities that are going to help folks. I carry Narcan around with me everywhere I go. I have it in my car. I have it in my bag. I've Narcan several people to bring them back after they've been overdosing. It's poverty. These people don't want to be using. They don't want to be out on the streets. They don't want these things happening to them, but they don't have access to a lot of other things. A lot of undereducated individuals, a lot of folks that have behavioral health, mental health issues, a lot of people that are self-soothing because they don't know that they need to go to a doctor because they don't know that their mental health is a priority and also part of their physical health. There's a lot more that goes into this. It's not just arresting our way out of it, because that's what JPP knows. She knows that we can't arrest our way out of it. We don't even have a jail for folks to go. We need more access.
Thanks very much. Chris.
Thank you. I had to plug in my phone, so the angle's a little different on the camera. But we need to fund the mental health hospital being built in Kansas City. We put $300 million in the budget for that. It's going to be built here soon, and that would help with a lot of it. And then I worked with Heartland Behavioral Health in Kansas City to fund drug treatment. So there's a lot of homeless, and 80% of homeless people have drug abuse problems and die from drug overdoses while they're homeless. But from August until January every year, this facility had to refuse treatment for people coming in for self-help. So I worked to get them $636,000 to help 400 to 500 people get treatment from August till January. And the governor did not veto that. So we need to focus more on treatment and homeless to help.
Thanks, Chris. Wick.
Yeah, I agree. Addressing our homelessness issue is a huge one. I think, you know, the housing first model that's been a proven model that's been promoted by bipartisanship, like studies. But I think that a lot of people blaming it on the borders, like Missouri is as far away from a border as you can get in this country. That is a scapegoat. I'm from rural Missouri, and we had a giant meth problem that did not come in from over the borders. That was made here. So to blame it on immigrants is just ridiculous. If we want to solve this problem, it's a long-form effort, right? We need to have universal health care like every other developed nation has, including comprehensive mental health care. We need to fund education better. We need to do things to end poverty. We need to there's just so many like systemic issues that we could fix, and this wouldn't be a problem that we would blame on a group of people. Our campaign's been all about helping and community benefit, and we are actually planning a Narcan training for the district soon. And my time's up.
Thanks very much. Karen.
I hate to ask you, but can you repeat the question?
I certainly can. Deaths from drug overdoses exceed those from guns. Drug deaths especially affect our large cities. What measures would you propose or support to decrease deaths from drug overdoses?
Okay, I have to say that I disagree with Wick on that there are problems with drugs coming over the borders, and that's documented. And Missouri may be far away, but I have heard of buses that have been even up in northern part of the United States that they are busing people. And I don't know what organizations are doing this, but I've been told that people have been bused and dropped off in certain areas because the big cities or sanctuary cities are just overrun. And so I think that we're just going to see more and more of these kind of things. And I'm sorry, but cannabis for recreation, if you look at the mental health facilities, half of those people were avid users of marijuana. And I was against it when we passed it because I know that that affects the brain. And that's why it's good for medicinal uses,
Okay.
because it kills the pain.
We'll
So,
cut you off. We'll need to cut you off there.
yes.
Chris, the next one is for you. What approach will you take towards funding of pre-K through 12 education?
That's House Bill 2, and pre-kindergarten is currently added in to have additional funding, but it would be not available in every district. Whenever kindergarten first started, it wasn't available in every district either. But when school districts start a pre-K program, the state would help them fund that, and it helps parents go back to work sooner. You know, if they go at kindergarten or a year earlier, that's a year sooner for not having childcare at home. I'm more for funding the pre-K versus a child tax credit, which would be a daycare funding, which they're not really learning what they would learn in a pre-K setting. But I think it's great to have every school option, school choice. So
Thank you. Wick?
Yeah, so education is priority for me. It's been the basis of my career and life, and coming from rural Missouri public schools, like I understand how important it is. I would take issue with the school choice helping. That is, I mean, essentially funding religious private education with taxpayer money is a thing that we were just talking about. The stadiums being a problem, funding these private organizations. So to do that with our public school dollars is not ethical in my mind. So we need to be fully funding. Education keeps getting worse in Missouri. We keep lowering in the ranks. We need to be paying our teachers better. We need to be advocating for our public schools as much as possible. There was a time when there were neighborhood schools in every part of this district, and half of them have closed at this point. We need to be advocating for them. So this is not the situation anymore. A robust public education system where we know that every student is going to do well after their education is the goal.
Thanks very much. Karen?
I've been a teacher for 36 years or in education. And my grandfather and grandmother, and they were all public teachers. My children all attended public schools. And so I want to support the public schools as much as possible. And I'm teaching right now in Kansas City, Missouri schools. So I do understand that the earlier that we have children in the schools, the more that they can understand even the basic life skills and help some of them, because we have some of those kindergartners coming in that really struggle with those life skills. So I think it would be helpful to have those kind of programs in every school in the state.
Thank you. Carolyn?
So I would absolutely agree that we need to increase funding for pre-K as well. And secondary education. Education is the thing that evens out the playing field. People with great educations, regardless of your zip code, they have a better chance of success in life. So I think that is one thing that we can do, is make sure we set up our young people for success, and we can budget in more for funding of our preschool programs and for secondary education as well.
Thank you very much. Stephen, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's all very important to fund the schools, but I want this CRT stuff taken out. All this stuff about these trans kids and all this stuff needs to be thrown out. DESE, it needs to be overhauled down there. I've been to so many meetings about DESE that it's a train wreck. And I'm used to seeing train wrecks. I worked at the railroad a number of years, and they're never good. So until that all gets straightened out, but you know, education is very important. you know, I got a grandson last year. Of course, they live in Kansas, so on the Kansas side, and I wrote him a note for a birthday, and he couldn't even read it. So they're not teaching cursive now. I heard they started teaching it again, but this kid who was 17 years old couldn't even read cursive, and so you know, the establishment group that doesn't want them, they want to, you know, this equity and diversion stuff, and I'm tired of it. I'm done with it.
Thank you. Patricia.
Supporting people as their authentic self means to truly love them and to truly see them, regardless of what you may think about DEI, because you should also include belonging. As someone who is a minority, I have been to places where I've not fit in, and I've been treated differently. Anyway, I digress. We absolutely need to be focusing on our pre-K. Our younger generation are our future. They're the ones that are going to take us into the future and ensure that we are making our ancestors proud. I stand on the backs of my ancestors to ensure that I am fully educated in what I plan to do. And supporting our educators is one of the most important things to me. Ensuring that they have equal pay, that there are investments, and it shouldn't matter on your zip code where you live, what kind of education you receive. So how we fund education is just not adequate at all.
Thanks very much. Well, we're going to stay with the education theme. Governor Parsons signed Senate Bill 727, increasing Missouri teacher base pay to $40,000. The national average starting salary is $44,500. Currently, Missouri is ranked 50th in starting salaries. Nearby Arkansas has a base pay of $60,000. Will the increase that's recently been signed enough to attract and keep more teachers in Missouri? Stephen, we'll start with you.
Who are you starting with?
Stephen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I believe that we need to pay these teachers for, I mean, they're the ones that are teaching our children, and look at what they have to go through.
Let's make sure we look at the numbers I was quoting here. So we've got a $40,000 number that we're talking about.
60.
Is that enough? 60,
well, obviously they need to up it. If Arkansas can, you know, do better, then we should do better too. And the teachers have to go through a lot of education to get to where they're at. So, you know, they need to pay them. I mean, look at the guys over there at the Chiefs and the Royal Stadium, what they're making. So let's get some of that money for these teachers. So it's like Patricia said, and all these other folks, our kids are the basis for this country to survive on. And we got to, you know, pay these teachers. They don't want to do it. They want to go get other jobs. I mean, Karen can tell you, she's a teacher. And, you know, I'm all for getting teachers more money, just like Arkansas did.
Thank you. Chris?
Yep. 727, I supported that. And then I worked in the budget to get money to teachers through programs like Career Ladder. That's a bonus program for teachers. They can put in time extra other than just the classroom time, either tutoring, mentoring, coaching, things like that. That's a program that's available now and last year also, Career Ladder, for extra pay. And then there's another one called Grow Your Own. So if someone goes to a school district as a student and then they teach in that district later in life, then they get extra pay also. And those are funded through the state. But part of the education funding formula is transportation. And we have not funded that except for the last 2 years fully. And I would continue trying to fund education at a full level going forward.
Thank you. Patricia?
Absolutely, we need to pay our teachers more and ensure that they have all of the support that they need as well. Paras, assistants, the materials that they need, the support at home. So that includes giving families support resources as well outside, just simple education to families. But as I said, our kiddos are our future, and our teachers are at the forefront of that. And I have a couple of teachers in my family and a couple of teachers that are my friends, specifically a SPED teacher. And our kiddos are falling fearfully behind. So we need to do something quickly. Specifically, our reading levels are abysmal. So if we can maybe focus a lot on that to ensure that everybody has equitable and just access to the same education.
Thanks very much. Let's see, Wick.
Yeah, so faculty librarian has worked with youth my whole life, mostly in students in KCPS. Of course, we need to raise the pay. It's the lowest in the country. That when you are choosing a job, would you choose the place that pays the lowest in the country? No, we are losing out on so many good educators. It needs to be fully funded. We need to put aside partisan politics to make sure that our education system is doing better. Because right now, not only are we paying less than literally every other state in the country, we are also passing laws frequently that criminalize teachers and librarians. Legislators shouldn't be teachers. Like banning critical race theory. Critical race theory is just the history of the United States, is the history of the world. That's all that is. So these attacks on DEI, like things like that, if you want to attract teachers, pay them better, stop criminalizing them, stop banning books, make it a healthy environment where a teacher would want to work, because we are scaring away all of the good educators right now.
Thanks, Wick. Carolyn?
I'm going to agree with most everyone here. It is whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, independent. I think everyone agrees teachers are not paid enough. $40,000 is abysmal starting pay for a teacher. They put themselves through school to earn that the right to be able to teach these children. They're half the time they're paying out of their pocket for materials in their classrooms. So I firmly believe we need to raise that pay. And I'm not even sure 60,000, quite honestly, is enough for what our teachers are put through on a daily basis. As Steve mentioned, we pay our athletes millions and millions and millions of dollars. So why are we paying our educators that have spent a minimum of 8 hours a day with our children $40,000?
Thank you. Karen?
Yes, I am a teacher. And the disrespect we have in the classroom is atrocious. I went as a sub to Kansas City, Missouri as a building sub, and a teacher quit within 9 weeks, which I took over the classroom then for the rest of the year. And the next year I came back as a sub again, and 2 teachers quit, and they both could not, the kids were just harsh on them and they could not handle it. And there was so many outside requirements outside of school, and it was hard on them. They're young teachers. And so anyway, it is very difficult. And even the things that Chris was saying that he supported, thank you, Chris, for that. But the problem is all of those things are outside the teaching day. That's what you get the extra pay for, not inside the teaching day. So after 8 hours are over, that's when you would get these extra time to make extra money. And so anyway, we need to increase.
We need to stop there.
Base pay. Thanks.
Yeah. Mike, I want to add you in. Mike, welcome. Mike Sager has joined us. And so, Mike, I'm going to, if you didn't hear the question, I will pass a question to you that they're just answering right now. You'll need to unmute yourself when you do that. The question I posed was, Governor Parsons signed Senate Bill 2727, which increased Missouri teacher base pay to $40,000. The national average starting salary is $44,500. Currently, Missouri is ranked 50th in starting salaries, while nearby Arkansas has a base pay of $60,000. Will this increase, the $40,000, be enough to attract and keep more teachers in Missouri?
You know, traditionally, our teachers here in Missouri have always pledged, hey, I love teaching in Missouri. We have a great retirement plan. And years ago, back when the Democrats were in charge of the legislature, you know, they helped put in place a retirement plan for teachers that is bar none one of the best, enviable of all the states around us. But the problem is it gets attacked every year. Republicans in the legislature attack it year after year, try to take money out of it, try to strip it, try to put those funds somewhere else instead of in the retirement plans for the teachers that we depend on to take care of our children. Year after year, more tasks are given to our teachers. That they're supposed to be babysitters, they're supposed to be counselors, and the job gets tougher and tougher. And the fact is that if we want to keep teachers, we have to do more than this little pittance that the Republicans are trying to throw forward. We have to do something that's going to make an active role in drawing teachers to Missouri and keeping them to stay.
Thank you. Next question, we're going to start with Carolyn. Sometimes legislatures will need to consider bills concerning complex issues, such as medical care, with which they have little prior experience. Under those circumstances, from what sources do you seek information necessary to guide your decisions?
I would go to the folks that are currently in that area. So for instance, if it was a medical, I would be consulting with doctors, with nurses, with the folks that are in those fields that have the expertise. And I want a varying opinion. And I would assume that if there was an actual issue, that there would be a consensus among the doctors or among the nurses about what a good fix or a solution would be. So I do not pretend to know about a lot of those different areas in medical, absolutely. So I would have to rely on the folks that do know that. And I have absolutely no issue asking for guidance and asking for help and soliciting that. I do that every time I am uncertain of an area, because we have what my area expertise is not what Mike's or Sandy's is or what Chris's is. So solicit those people that are the experts in their fields.
Appreciate it. Patricia, where would you go for help?
So the experts and those experiencing it, a lot of times we forget the ones that are experiencing those types of things. So I've been endorsed by the firefighters union, and if there was something specifically that would affect our first responders, I would definitely go to our firefighters, but I would also go to the retired firefighters that I know in my life. I have trusted people that are surrounding me and in ensuring that I'm making the right decision for those in the district, and listening to those folks in the district as well. This district, District 19, is one of the most diverse in the entire state. And so I know for a fact that there's going to be somebody from this district who knows directly who's going to be impacted by any specific bill that goes into effect.
Thanks. Chris, your thoughts?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, sir. I said sometimes legislators will need to consider bills concerning complex issues, such as medical care, with which they have little prior experience. Under those circumstances, from what sources do you seek information necessary to guide your decisions?
Sure. So I'll give you an example. I'm a gay Republican, LGBT, but there's bills on transgender healthcare in Missouri. So what did I do? I'm not transgender. I don't know about that, but I would listen to the Missourians who emailed and called my office, who visited. Over 200, 300 people called and visited. And then whenever it comes to the floor for debate, I would ask other members who are experts in that field, like maybe Dr. Patterson, who's floor leader. And then there's other medical professionals in the House. I would want to stand with my hand up, ask the speaker to recognize me so I could speak and discuss with other members, and get to a point where I could vote yes or no. A lot of people vote present on things that they're unsure about, but if I'm able to speak with other members, I could get to either one of them yes or no votes. And if I'm not allowed, then I would probably vote no.
Thanks very much. Stephen.
Well, I work in the healthcare industry with insurance. The train track started in 2010 when they passed the Unaffordable Care Act, which I worked on when it first came out in 2013 and rolled out. They messed that all up. Medicaid, Missouri expanded that. I work in mostly Medicare stuff for seniors and try to explain to them about that. But, you know, healthcare could have been fixed a lot better, but it didn't, as Mike would say. The Democrats really did a good job in Washington on that one by the train wreck. But according to the medical professionals and stuff that gave them advice, and then of course, you know, the insurance companies, they always want their cut, which is unfortunate. They get a little bit too much money, kind of like the Royals and the Chiefs. So it needs to be fixed.
Thank you. Mike, what's your thoughts on that?
You know, I've always surrounded myself with people who know what they're doing. When I sat as a ranking member in the Conservation Natural Resource Committee, if something came through our committee that people were concerned about, they knew that I had studied the subject and become as informed on it as I could, so that the other members of my party came to me and asked me, you know, what was going on. Well, I did that too. There was someone who I sat beside that was in charge of labor, and he knew exactly what the labor unions wanted and what their position was on everything. And it worked the same way right down the road, whether it was medical. I sat beside Dr. Sam Page, who's now out in St. Louis, is the county executive in St. Louis. Well, having a doctor tell you about what the medical issues were was very handy. And may I throw in that the Medicaid expansion, the delay in the Medicaid expansion almost killed me. Obamacare saved my life. If it had not been for my ability to go out and make some extra money, qualify for Obamacare, and go in and have some preventive tests that would later detect cancer that I had, I'd be dead today. Obamacare saved my life, and we should give it a chance to save everybody.
Thank you. Karen.
I agree with Carolyn. Whatever she said was exactly my thoughts. So I don't have very much to add to that. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Wick.
Yeah, so I am fortunate that my best friend is actually a nurse professor, finishing their doctorate and DNP. And so luckily I have an expert that I talk to almost daily. My sister is also a nurse. But that being said, again, experts, the surrounding yourself with experts. There are so many amazing people, specifically in our district, that know so much about so many different things. And pulling them in, pulling people with these experiences in who have studied these issues. One of my strengths, I feel like, is every day at my job, I help people research. I help people find information. And so I am confident that with the network of people that I have surrounding me and my research abilities, that all of my positions would be well informed, because that is information management is a main part of my life and is something I love doing.
Thanks very much. So we've got a couple of questions coming up now based on two constitutional amendments, both sponsored by the legislature for the August 6th ballot. The first one, Amendment 1, which states, shall the Missouri Constitution be amended to allow places where individual corporations, organizations, and associations provide childcare outside of the child's home to be exempt from property tax. This is intended to make childcare more available, which would support the well-being of children, families, the workforce, and society as a whole. State governmental entities estimate the state's blind pension fund could have annual lost revenue of up to $400,000. Local governments expect an unknown fiscal impact. What is your position on amendment number 1? And if I need to repeat that, I will certainly be glad to do so. So we're going to start with Karen on this one.
My granddaughter worked in a childcare, and I'm not opposed to having a childcare. I think it would be nice if businesses did, but a lot of times those childcare facilities are not monitored very well, and they turn into businesses where they cram a bunch of children in with, the people working there getting paid $15 an hour, and they have 20 kids. And it's, if the kids are sick, they just keeping the kids there because the parents don't have a place for them. And so I think it would be nice if they had a place at work where they could take the children, and if the children are ill, or they would monitor, the parents would see how many children were there. I just think that there's not enough childcare facilities to take care of the children properly. And I think that the workers need to get paid more. So however we could do that, that would be great.
And I think I want to make sure that we understand, you probably do, that this is about exempting these businesses that provide it from property tax. So,
Exactly, but yes, I did understand that, as I was thinking that we needed more and that the exemption would help us have more child care
Great.
facilities.
thanks very much. Mike, your thoughts?
You know, this is a good start. You know, in this age of wage disparity, where people have watched their bosses make more and more money and watched the NASDAQ go up and up, but their wages have gone stagnant while inflation has hit them at the grocery store and the price of housing has gone up. Well, childcare is one of those costs. It's a fixed cost when you're trying to make a living, when you're trying to make your way. And this is one of those things that'll help. But it's only a start. We should have subsidies for parents who are trying to earn a living wage and aren't making above a living wage right now and need help taking care of their kids. We should have some other things. We need to increase wages in the state of Missouri instead of this slow escalation we have going towards the $15 an hour that we did by initiative petition. You know, we need more of that. So like I said, this is a good start. I'm going to vote yes on this. I think it could go on further. I think it could do more, but it's a good start.
Thanks very much. Carolyn?
I would probably disagree. I don't believe that child care providers should be exempt from property taxes. I believe there should be some other ways to enhance their ability to make a great living and provide childcare at work as well. I just don't think that eliminating property taxes would be the right way to go about that. However, I would be willing to hear other people and from some experts that are weighing in as to why they think this would be a very good idea. I just don't happen to understand that it would be a good idea at this moment.
Thank you. Wick?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I echo that it's a start, but I think the last study I read was about 50% of people live in what is essentially a childcare desert in Missouri. So we don't have enough providers or facilities. I think the possibility of subsidies is great, and we need to again be addressing all of the systemic issues: low wages, healthcare access. Childcare needs to be a priority so that education can be a priority, because we need to set up children so that they are going to do well in schools, and not allowing access to childcare is a burden on the parents, the children, and all of our families.
Thanks. Chris, your thoughts on the tax breaks in order to get this done?
Yeah, currently Missouri has over $1 billion in tax credits that are given out to whoever, and those are not appropriated. So that's money that's not in our budgeted $50 billion budget. And every new tax credit is less of a tax cut that we could be given to taxpayers. We've made a good effort passing the largest income tax cut in Missouri just 2 years ago. And there's triggers for future tax cuts every time tax revenue grows based on everybody paying lower taxes. It grows the economy, creates more revenue actually. So I'm against tax credits of any form. What we need to do is help the Attorney General and the State Tax Commission sue Jackson County over our horrible tax assessments that happened here. There's another court date, August 9th. I hope we get some resolution there.
Thanks very much. Patricia?
So, yes, anything that we can do to support, I believe that our childcare providers are also educators. That's where I learned my ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, my colors and all of that. I have a lot of family members that chose not to go back to work and stay home with their kiddos instead of putting them in childcare because it was too expensive. They had more important things that they needed to be focusing on, and childcare paying outside of the home was not something that they could afford. We also need to have a public option for families too that just simply cannot afford childcare. And when we attach it to our our jobs, then we become even more reliant on our jobs. So the more that we can do in our neighborhoods for our families and our kiddos is something that I'd really like to focus on.
Thanks. Stephen?
Well, I go along with some of them as saying, you know, it's great. I understand about childcare. I have kids that have kids and they need childcare, but I don't know that these businesses are going to, I mean, you know, who's going to watch the businesses? Who's going to watch the watchers? I mean, you know, it just gets to be involved. Maybe there's some kind of a little tax cut or something you could give to the parents to where they go to a place that's professional, that's taking care of children already, instead of letting some of these corporations do this stuff. I know there are some companies that have done it and it seems like they're doing fairly well, but you know, and that's great. You know, it's like someone said, some of these corporations are making plenty of money where they could afford to offer some childcare, and some of them are doing that, which is great. And that's, you know, they decide to give up a few million for their house or something like that. So, but I don't know. There needs to be some things looked at for sure to help
Thanks.
the parents.
Okay, the next amendment we're going to talk about is Amendment 4, and that would authorize laws that increase minimum funding from 20% to 25% for police forces established by the State Board of Police Commissioners to ensure that such police forces have additional resources to serve its communities. The impact to Kansas City would be an increase of about $38.8 million, with no other state or local jurisdictions reporting at this time estimated cost impacts. What is your position on Amendment 4? And Chris, we'll start with you.
Yeah, police funding, I'm all about that. I worked to get the highway patrol, new building in Lee's Summit. They're gonna build that and then demolish the old one for an interchange there at 50 and 291. But highway patrol funding is state controlled, and then you have cities like St. Louis, Kansas City. Kansas City decreased the funding, and that's how we're in this issue here. We passed the 25% amendment, and now Kansas City has issue in their city vote to change that. So it's back and forth. But I think that the police do a difficult job, and they need to know that they're going to be paid for the job they're doing, not cut the police or defund the police. We need to keep the police very funded and give them the best and greatest of everything.
Thank you. Stephen?
Yeah, as from what I understand, you know, that actually the city has been paying the police budget at least 25% for the last few years. So it's nothing new. And then, of course, when Mayor Lucas and his buddies wanted to, you know, take that money and, you know, they want to take the, you know, the power away. And I'm like, you know, the police need to know that we're behind them financially and everything else, because, you know, these bad guys out here got them outgunned, and they need to know that we're behind them to do this. And I think that Amendment 4 is a good thing to know, let them know that. So, but it's nothing that hasn't been happening for the last couple of years, that they've been getting 25% anyhow. But now, of course, the mayor's out there saying, you know, vote no. So I would vote yes for the amendment.
Thank you. Mike?
Amendment 4 is a terrible idea. This is nothing but an abusive plan by the Republicans in Jefferson City to try to abuse Democrats in Kansas City. Kansas City has been doing what it can to support this. It's the only major city in America that does not have control of its own police department. I mean, seriously, this is kind of an absurd notion that Kansas City is stuck in this position. The mayor doesn't want to defund the police. The mayor believes that some of the money being spent by police could be better spent on other resources, even within the police department, that would help the people better. And for instance, cops carry guns. And in Kansas City, it seems that when you're carrying a gun, every problem seems to need a gun to fix it. But that's not always the case. You know, we need more facilities available to the police department for mental health issues and other issues that don't require a gun to fix. And that's what the mayor wants to spend money on. He doesn't want to defund the police. He wants to reform them.
we'll need to cut you off there. Thanks, Mike. Patricia.
Yeah, no, I agree with Mike. I would not support this. As he said, we are one of the only major metropolitan areas that doesn't have support or control over our own police department. And that's just wild to me. I also echo what Mike is saying. The mayor does not want to defund the police. He wants to disperse it out. So the community resource police officers that I do deal with on not a daily, on a probably monthly, they are a lot more educated than some of our other street police. They're more apt to work with our folks experiencing homelessness. We need to give them more training. We need to ensure that our social workers have more training that are going out with our police department. I know locally, our Kansas City, Missouri Health Department is going to enact a group that's going to go out of health department workers instead of the police, so we're not freaking people out all the time with cops. They're scary to some people. It's just how it is.
Thanks. Wick?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, Missouri continually passes laws that preempt the will of the people or roll over the will of the people. They continually try to restrict municipalities and cities from doing what is best for our areas. So I think, again, yeah, like others have said, returning local control is a huge issue, because the idea that people in Jefferson City are the best people to decide how things are handled in Kansas City, they're very different places. And we talk about that a lot on the other side when we're talking about rural areas, cities not being able to decide for rural areas. Well, let's talk about that the other way as well. So rural areas not being able to decide what's best for cities, because this wasn't an attempt to defund the police like it was created in the news or in discussion. It was an attempt to make sure that our fire department, our public works, our health, and our education were fully funded, so that long term the people who are serving as police, their job is easier.
We need to cut you off there. Thank you. Karen.
Yeah, I pretty much remember our mayor defending the police. I pretty much remember that came out of his mouth with a secret committee, and it just boom was done. So I don't understand why people didn't think that happened, but it did. I'm for making sure the police are paid properly. They have a hard job. So whatever that takes, if Kansas City can't do it, then the state's going to have to do it. So there you go.
Thank you. Carolyn, you get to finish this one.
I am wholeheartedly, resoundingly for Amendment 4. We've already had this up for debate once before. I have no idea why it's even on the ballot again. We do not pay our police officers and our first responders near enough. They put their lives on the line every single day for our safety and the safety of the citizens. And unfortunately, Kansas City would make some poor decisions if that control was given back to them. So I am for Amendment 4.
Thank you. Before we go to the 90-second wrap-up or closing statements, I want to ask each of you a question that goes like this. One question you wish I had asked and didn't, and how would you answer it? And Wick, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the question, I mean, there's a lot of questions. Check out my website, wickformo.com, if you want to find out some more policy stuff. But is the main question I get when I'm talking to people in the district is why would you want to do this? Because all of the infighting, all of the character assassinations happening in Jefferson City, it doesn't really feel like governance. It feels like a high school drama. So why would you want to be a part of this, right? And it's because there's too much at stake. We are trying to jail librarians. We are we pay our teachers less than anywhere else in the country. We are criminalizing the LGBT community. We are criminalizing immigrants. We're finding all these scapegoats for all of our problems when we could fix these problems. We're trying to blame them on other people when it's really policy. The legislature can fix these problems without blaming groups of people that don't have enough of a population to defend themselves in Jefferson City. And that's why I'm doing this.
So I'm going to remind, this is a question you thought you wished I would have asked. So Karen, what question should I have asked that I left out, and how would you answer it?
I would have liked you to ask how that we would handle the capping the taxes on property taxes, or even if personal property tax is even something that we should look at, like lowering or even doing away with. I mean, 29 states in the nation don't even have a personal property tax. And my answer to that, of course, would be that I think we need to go through our budget at the state level and start chopping stuff that's not important, and see if we couldn't help people in this time of inflation. So that's a question I wished you would have asked.
Okay, thanks. Carolyn, what did I leave out? That would you be
Karen
interested
kind of
in
stole
answering?
my answer on that one. So I'm gonna have to go with what Karen said. And to be quite frank, I had no idea what to expect coming on this candidate forum. So my mind was just spinning. So I'm just happy that the questions you answered were the ones that were answered. So I'll stick with what Karen said, though. I agree that was one that I would have wanted to have asked as well.
Great, thank you. Stephen, what did I,
Yeah, I would have liked,
should
the
have asked?
question I would like to have asked was, what does everybody think about the economy and where it's at with, like somebody said the other day, well, I can go into the grocery store now for $100 and I can carry the sack in one hand. Because in the last 3.5, 4 years, things have gone up 25 to 50%. Gasoline has doubled. Everything else has gone because of this establishment wants to make gasoline and stuff horrible, and those things. So, how it's hurting the families. I mean, people with kids that are trying to raise their children and feed them and send them to school and buy them clothes and all that stuff. I mean, that's some things that I don't deal with, but I see my kids going through it and it's very tough. So there's a question that could have been answered.
Thanks very much. Mike, what should I have asked?
Should have asked me about what I'm going to do about bringing back our freedoms here in Missouri. The Republicans in Jefferson City are taking away freedoms of Missourians right and left, taking away their freedom to choose their own health care, taking away freedom of health care. Missouri passes an initiative petition to do the Medicaid expansion so everyone can have health care. Republicans defund it, taking away more freedoms. The Missourians passed a petition to raise the minimum wage. Republicans try to pass laws to keep them from being able to organize and make a decent wage. Republicans tried to pass laws to keep women from reproductive rights. These are all freedoms that are taken away from us every day, that we are denied, that our children are denied, that our friends and neighbors are denied. And truth be known, it is killing people. As I mentioned before in the previous question, Obamacare saved my life. And I'm out here, I'm going to Jefferson City to make sure Republicans are held accountable. When they deny freedoms to Missourians, it doesn't kill more people.
Thank you. Chris.
I guess I would like to hear from everybody who they think is going to win the presidential election in November. And I'd say it would be Donald J. Trump for the third time, because he's going to make America great again. But I've already got my reservations to go to DC for the inauguration in January. Hope everybody does too. But otherwise, another question might have been, does everybody support the senior real estate property tax freeze that was passed in the legislature? It was very bipartisan. I would think everybody on this chat would support that. Anybody 62 and older, whatever their home is valued, has a property tax freeze if they apply for it by December 31st of this year. I tell it to everybody when I'm knocking doors, so it's not a waste of time going to thousands of doors, because I think everybody in the whole district has a property tax freeze now.
Thanks very much. Patricia, you get to finish this one up.
I would go a little fluffier, I suppose, and want to know what you've enjoyed during this election or this campaign season. And I would say connecting with people, specifically women. We're really energized to vote this year. We've had our rights stripped away. We've had people talk about our potential new, hopefully, Madam President, saying she's not qualified or she's this or that. Women are loud, and it's been really, really enjoyable getting to know them. When I speak with them, they don't ask me why. They tell me thank you. And that's what I hear the most. When I knock on doors, they tell me thank you and take my pamphlet and tell me they'll see me at the polls. So I think that was what I would want to talk about.
Thanks very much. Okay, so now it's time for our 90-second closing remarks. I really want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. It's always good when we have a crowd. It's great to hear all these different opinions. It makes for a much better forum, so I appreciate it. In addition, we'd really like to ask you to share the league's website with voters and encourage all citizens to show up on each election day and exercise their right to vote. But sharing the website will get them to the video of this. We'll have it recorded. It will be up in a couple of days. And that way they can see how you guys dealt with your opponents tonight. So that said, let's start, Stephen, with you. You get 90 seconds for closing remarks.
Well, I think it's an important job to go down and try to do the will of the people. I'm all for good health care. It's unfortunate. I work in I see what the insurance industry's done, and they've caused a lot of expensive stuff to happen, like the guy down there with the cancer care and stuff. You know, unfortunately, healthcare reform, what it did was it created three entities. It created the poor people on Medicaid can't get on it because they deal with Medicaid. The people in the middle are the ones that qualify because I've sold the plans and know exactly how they work. And then the other people, they got another house payment because somebody has to pay for it. And I know it's unfortunate for that too, because a lot of people's health care went from like $250 to probably $1,200–1,500 a month for a couple with kids. And because I've seen the numbers, but the numbers don't lie. And but healthcare is important for everybody to have. When you get socialized healthcare, I know a friend of mine, she's was from England, and she said when you get over 65, if you don't have the money, you're not going to get covered. So a lot of people don't understand in these other countries that it's all not as wonderful as I've talked to a lot of those people. Healthcare, the taxes, capping the taxes, for people elderly that are getting priced out of their houses. It's really sad what Jackson County has done for that. There you go.
Thanks very much. Patricia, your closing.
So District 19 is one of a kind. It's the first Hispanic leaning district in all of Missouri. It's about representation for me. My family's from this district, and I'm the only Hispanic Mexican woman that wants to represent this district. I know what it means to have to pick between paying your electric bill and getting groceries. I'm very privileged to have a very supportive family, but I recognize a lot of people just don't have that. My work at Metro Lutheran Ministry has afforded me the ability to help folks. Actually, last week we were able to help. I asked our accountant before I left, we output $350,000 in eviction prevention for people of Kansas City. And that's my goal. People need to stay in their homes. It's becoming more expensive. It's more expensive to eat. It's more expensive to do anything. The people of this district, they're not worried about certain things that other districts are worried about. They're worried about where they're going to get their food, how they're going to pay their light bill, how they're going to get their kids to school. Fighting for schools to stay in district are extremely important. That's why I fought tooth and nail to keep our only high school south of Truman Road open. That's Northeast High School. I went and advocated to keep that sucker open, and it's still open. Now we need to make sure that we get it updated. Hernandez for Missouri, August 6th.
Thanks very much. Chris, over to you.
All right. I would say some endorsements are the National Rifle Association, Missouri Right to Life, the Missouri NEA. There's a wide range of, human rights, Second Amendment rights, right to life, and education funding. I've got a record voting on lots of bills that's available. I'm maybe the only one on the forum here that's already elected 4 years, so you can visit house.mo.gov to find the way I voted on things. And I worked with congressional redistricting 2 years ago, at the time of the census every 10 years to get most of my district east of Highway 7 into District 4, Mark Alford, and out of Emmanuel Cleaver's district. That's a win. And then I've also worked for school choice. We created ESAs that give parents choice for education. We've increased teacher pay with Senate Bill 727. I'd like to continue getting more school choice. We cut taxes, income taxes. We froze property tax for seniors. I worked to get public safety funding. Done a lot in the budget. Sometimes the governor vetoes it. So looking forward maybe to a new governor that will work with the legislators. It's tricky.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Wick?
Yeah, so I'm from rural Missouri. I live in Kansas City. I feel like I can talk to pretty much anyone. I love our district. I love how diverse it is. We have so many experts in so many fields throughout this district, and it's the first place I've ever felt like was home. Been homeless as a teenager, and to have found my home here means so much to me. I also am running because representation matters. I'm a member of the LGBT community, and I thought Democrats used to think that gerrymandering and redlining was bad, and used to be against it. And our community will never have enough population to run on that. And so I've been working so hard to get this representation because as a librarian, as a member of the LGBT community, I am in danger in Missouri, and we need to have strong advocates there who can stop it. Our campaign has been about community benefit. We have cleaned up the parks. We have given away free books. We have spread native seeds throughout the district. We have registered new voters. We have done youth art contests. We have paid local artists. We are interested in representing the community full-time, year-round. And I'm not interested in leading. I am interested in walking with the people in this district, empowering people, getting people involved in the legislative process, and making sure that their voices are amplified. There's too much money in politics. We're trying to do it ethically. And
Need to cut you off there. Thanks, Wick. Karen?
I know that all of us hear all kinds of news from all different sources, and it is hard to tell who is biased, who is telling the truth, who has an agenda. And that's really why I got into politics. And not just because there's no other Republican running normally, which is a good reason, but I want to tell people in District 19 what the truth is. And when I began school this year, I was deposited. I didn't have a choice, but I ended up in the middle of my district so that I know that I am being led by divine calling into running for District 19 this year. And my goals are simple. My first goal is that I want to give voters the choice. My second goal is I want to educate and bring the truth to District 19. It's a very diverse district, but everybody needs to know exactly what's going on and be able to trust me that I will tell you the truth. And my third goal is I want to make a strong stand for promoting Missouri and Missouri states' rights and making sure that the people in Missouri have a chance for prosperity in the best way that they can. And I would love to have the support of people at the polls. I've won my primary because I'm the only candidate, but in the general election coming up, I would just want everyone to understand that I am here and I'm determined to do the best I can do.
Thank you. Carolyn?
Well, thank you again for hosting this incredible forum. So I mentioned my background is I've been in transportation. I'm a self-made person. I worked multiple jobs at a time to put myself through my undergraduate degree. And then while I was managing a very large terminal for a less than truckload carrier, put myself through my master's degree. And I've always been in leadership positions. I've never been in politics before, but I feel compelled. And as Karen said, I, for the first time, feel I am called to do this. And the reason being is that I do not feel that the constituents of District 33 are being represented. I am not going to go to Jefferson City with my own agenda. I am there to support the will of the people of District 33. That is the most important thing to me. I would encourage people to do their research on any incumbent to make sure that those values, that the way they're voting align with the person's values themselves. And I would ask that anyone in District 33, please consider voting for Carolyn Caton on Tuesday, August the 6th. If you have any questions, my website is Carolyn for Mo, that's CarolynFor mo.com. And you can find me at Carolyn Caton for Missouri on Facebook. Again, thank you, and I ask for your vote.
Thanks very much. Mike, you get to wrap it up.
Thank you very much. I've served in the legislature before, and it was many years ago. And I'm coming back now because now is the time. The fewest number of Democrats in elected office in the state of Missouri right now. It's historical. My friend Russ Carnahan is chairman of the Democratic Party. I spoke to him about running for office in this seat, and he was excited about having me back down there. Why? Because I'm a voice for the voiceless. I've stood on the House floor and advocated for senior citizens when Republicans were trying to kick them out of the Amber Alert program. I was once named Conservation Champion of Missouri. They gave me credit for single-handedly saving the Conservation Natural Resources Committee from being defunded by Republicans. I have stood on the House floor and advocated for health rights and for reproductive rights. As a father of 4 daughters, I know how important it is that the government stay out of the relationship between a woman and her doctor. And that's really why I'm going to Jefferson City again. We need to have a voice for people who are outraged and are desperate for what's going on, watching what's going on down there, and a way for them to have someone who's speaking it for them and taking care of their rights. And so I would like to ask everyone vote for Mike Sager on August 6th. And let me do one of the things that I love to do, which is advocate for people who need it. I'm wearing my free dad hug shirt today just for this forum. So I know there's people on this forum that perhaps could use one, and I'd be happy to give you one. Thank you very much. Mike Sager.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you, candidates. I'm going to turn it over now to Anitra.
Thank you, audience, for your interest in the August 6th primary election. A recording of this forum will be available on the League's website, lwvkc.org. Please take a minute to share the insights you've gained from this forum with your friends on Facebook and Nextdoor and other social media channels. And remember, for voting and candidate information, visit lwvkc.org and vote411.org. Thank you and good night.
Well done.
Laura, can you stop the recording, please?
I thought I had, sorry.
I didn't hear the voice.